To our listeners and viewers, it's to the point for today, Tuesday, the 3rd day of June, 2025. Good morning to those of you via social media platforms, whether Facebook page, YouTube channels. Good morning to you. Those of you at home and you're listening and viewing, good morning to you also. It's Opposition Tuesday today on the program. Of course, I'm your host, GT. Let me say good morning to my guests representing the opposition this morning. We have Mr. Christopher Deallie Jr. with us this morning. Mr. Deallie, good morning, and should I say welcome back?
Thank you, GT, and good morning to all the listeners and all the viewers. Good morning.
All right, how's everything? I mean, from our last conversation to now, how's everything with you, man?
It's been a lot busier.
Yeah.
It's been a lot busier. Getting deep down in the weeds in the constituency, starting to build my team, starting to meet a lot of different individuals around the community. And yeah, so it's a lot more busier. All
right. I want to start this conversation this morning. You know, the last time you were here and you mentioned you being an entrepreneur, sir. And that sort of grabbed my interest just a wee bit, you know. In terms of the agricultural part of it, you know, you did mention that you're involved in sort of that modern agriculture, as we refer to it as. You know, you say you're mushroom farming, you're into that. And what inspired you into that? I don't think we ever got to depth into just a wee bit. What inspired you a wee bit into that particular field?
To be honest, like agriculture, like typical agriculture, I do love food. Yeah. So I guess it started from the love of food.
It's only obvious.
And with anybody who enjoys cooking, enjoys food, ingredients isn't paramount to any quality meal. And I was one of those people who, I love YouTube. Sometimes you'll just see me on YouTube just watching a couple chefs cook or just watching YouTubes with Koreans eating food. It's like I have an obsession with like quality food and that kind of stuff. So it started with that.
Great.
And I always thought I'd probably be a chef in a past life, you know. But like, you know, over COVID, obviously everybody was home and we started to cook a lot more, being with the family more. And around that time, my mom just came back from Barbados, and the quality of food she got there was a lot more variety, and she cooked a lot more with mushrooms. And she always said, you know, I find like, you know, we eat too heavy. And I said, you know, I agree. We don't have enough, like, you know, enough different ingredients in the country, and we don't have that. And she was like, yeah. And at the time I was involved in a kind of like soursop business where I was like transporting soursop out of the country to like Miami. And she was like, you're already involved in the agro space. Why don't you like consider becoming actual, you know, like go and like farm something different? So the inspiration started with my mother, and obviously that was just a conversation. The mushroom thing didn't really click or anything like that. But I honestly believe the algorithm was listening, but my phone was around, because probably a couple of weeks later in COVID, a mushroom video popped up on my YouTube feed about 1 o'clock that morning, and I watched it and it blew my mind. It just took me by surprise how interesting the field was and how untapped the industry was in the Caribbean. And that kind of put me down the rabbit hole, and I ferociously went after trying to see if I could build a business plan around it. And I built it in a couple hours and showed up a mock draft to my mom, and she was like my tester to see if any idea was worthy. And she was like, no, this works, like, you know, like, and then that's where it went from there.
You know, many may still see, you know, especially the younger generation today, they may still see agriculture as old-time something. You know, they view it in that particular way. You know, old-time work where you have to go and, you know, and have that fork and speed and whatever else you need to do for agriculture. How would you reframe that for you know, for the younger people, especially, you know, when it comes to high value crop, especially as the mushroom farming that you're into? How would you reframe that for younger people?
To be honest, I think younger people understand one thing. They like money, and they like, enjoying the things that money brings to you. Now, I personally don't like, I call it archaic farming, where I grab a fork, a cutlass. Those tools were probably a couple hundred years old, if you want to be honest. Like, these tools were our grandfathers used. And farming has progressed way beyond that.
I mean, so then you see how the folks in China sort of do farming these days. It's actually in a relaxed manner in terms of actually doing it on the farm and doing the soil itself. In a relaxed manner, because they have the machinery to take care of that for them.
I wouldn't just believe it's this machinery, Okay, like, personally, China is a model. Yeah. But it is not kind of like a representative model for, say, an island with small geography, high mountainous areas. These, like, machinery would never kind of like solve that problem for a country like ours with limited scale and capacity like that.
Understand.
What I like implore, though, the Japanese model. The Japanese model is an island, bigger island than us, but an island nonetheless. They're a seafaring nation where most of their foods is kind of from the ocean, and the types of food they create, cuisines they create, is from ocean base. Okay. And when you look at how they do their farming, it's not about mass. It's about quality over quantity. Okay. So you see in Japan, there'll be markets where a melon is going for about $300 a melon. Why? Because the quality, the time that farmer took to make sure that melon was beautiful, how it rounded was, how the color, shape, everything. It was almost like it was a farmer displaying his artistry in creating a product. And that took farming in more of an in-depth quality basis. Yeah. So I don't think our farming needs to, like, say, compete with a large industrial size model. What we need to figure out is piecing out different agriculture models that's similar to ours and create a kind of high value model that works for us.
And I agree with you there a whole lot. Let's talk about the potential for Grenada tapping into that niche agriculture market that is out there. I would say like the medical mushrooms. That's what you do. We're talking about the agro processing, the export focused farming, and so forth. Let's talk a bit in reference to that.
In terms of?
Well, I was trying to say the potential for Grenada, that particular type of marketing that I spoke about, the potential for Grenada.
I think we had to look at it as not a type of farming that is, I think it is a newer, the phrase is skipping my mind right now, but it is basically a food basis that is more nutritious than what we already said in normal foods, superfoods. Yes. Now, I think we have an environment that already have a lot of superfoods. Sea moss is a superfood, right? Now, we need to start to look at the type of superfoods we can create in our environment. There are many different things that we can create in our environment that is indigenous to where we are in our geography and where we are below the equator. So, like, I think we need to start looking at high value foods, not just in terms of what we can just push out in profit. We also have to think about our people and what they consume. Because when we look at our health in this country, it starts in the food system. We all are what we eat. The hormones that we consume, and all that starts of where we start consuming it, and that's normally in the food system, where the animals eat the type of grain that is highly pumped with steroids and different additives to make sure that they look beautiful and that kind of thing. We need to move away from that system and start looking at foods that we can export, but also are highly nutritious for our country.
You mentioned also in a previous statement and in our last conversation, you said that agriculture need to be seen as a business. Yeah. What policies or support systems do you believe that are necessary for truly transforming agriculture? Lifestyle, as we refer to it as. What is necessary for that transformation into that viable economic engine that will suddenly generate for the next generation and the generations to come?
I like to lean into our own human nature. You know, they love to say Grenadians love to copycat, right? Like we always see a person in a successful business and then emulate it, right?
Yeah, it's one of those trends, eh?
Yes. I think we should take advantage of that and put in good things to emulate.
Yeah.
I think what we do need to do is create a system in agro where we also change the funding model. The funding model is archaic as well. I think we also need to create a system using our governmental means through foreign affairs and others, like to bring in experts from across the world who create a gourmet food system for us and help us increase our stock in terms of type of breeds of cattle, breeds of goats, different types of things that focuses our market on not just high amount of food, but in niche Thai gourmet types of food, which our hotels kind of consume already. Yeah. So we need to focus our agro system to our market, because when we look at our agro system and we see the types of food the hotels and their clients consume, it is different. Because a client in a hotel is not going to necessarily eat a lot of dasheen and grung provision. Sure. They would go in a Creole restaurant or other restaurants outside of the hotel and eat that. But the high volume intakes of these things are not similar to what the hotels are trying to push out. So we need to kind of marry that system a bit more. We need to start looking at our farmers and start to train, bring in some professionals, create a model and say this farmer is doing this. He's creating so much berries in this, climate controlled greenhouse. He's providing raspberries and other strawberries to the hotel and averaging about 20 to 15,000 US a month. And this model we can see from here. This is what it took capital wise, and this is what other young people should start doing. Once we start to see that a person can operate a successful business with the means of a smartphone, a laptop, and a couple staff, they would realize it's all possible for them. What we need to do is not just highlight, but showcase models for our people to get inspired from, and start doing their own research and how they can fit into a system that promotes them and what they believe they can offer to Grenada.
Oh, great. So Deallie, we drew for a break. Let's take it. When we come back, we still got much more to talk about. Stay with us, folks, to the point here on Classic Radio GBN TV. We'll be right back after the short break. Don't touch your dial. Grenada, it's what we've been waiting on. The countdown to the Maggie, King of the Grill. It's back at his legendary home, Montrouge Playing Field. Grand dance on Saturday, June the 7th. The Flames return with Grill Masters battling for glory. All the action starts at 12 noon. Then from 6 p.m., we go stateside for live entertainment by the Caress Band. It's food, fun, and flavor, all powered by Maggie. Loads of attraction for the kids, bouncy castle, games, and plenty of fun for the little ones while we indulge in smoky goodness. Don't miss the vibe, the flavor, the fierce competition. King of the Grill 2025 is back and better than ever. It's the King of the Grill 2025. Maggie King of the Grill, brought to you by Maggie, the secret of great flavor. Grenada Distillers Limited, makers of Class Code, Grenada's #1 rum. Grenada Paper Products, Classic Lightning Caribbean, Grenville Cooperative Credit Union, Budget Foods, where quality and affordability call home. Sandals Resort, Flow, Glen Spring Water, Blue Bubbles PA Rentals and Event Supplies, Innovation Grenada Limited, and Rubus, Fuel and Grills in competition. It's the Maggie King of the Grill 2025. Be there.
Grenada, the road to greatness continues. Catch the senior men's national team live at the Karani James Athletic Stadium for 2 thrilling football clashes. Saturday, May 31st, it's a fiery international friendly as Grenada takes on Anguilla, just $20 admission. Then on Wednesday, June 4, it's our FIFA World Cup qualifier versus the Bahamas, $25 admission. Both matches kick off at 7 p.m. sharp. Come dressed, come loud, come proud. Style your national team, bring your posters, and show the world world. You are the 12th man. Let's pack the stadium, flood the stands, and roar together. Get your tickets now at the official GFA ticket outlets. Go to Fed.com or at the gate. Let's stand proud with Team Grenada. One island, one team, one goal.
Sporting fans, ready yourselves for the most anticipated Winston Tide Games, June 7th and 8th at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium. Come support our athletes as they compete with some of the region's best in the field events and on the tracks. Save the date, June 7th and June 8th, Winston Tide Games at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium. Stay tuned for more info. Winston Tide Game 2025.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, once again. It's to the point here on Classic Radio, GBN TV. With me this morning, representing the opposition here in Grenada, the New National Party, we have Mr. Christopher Deallie Jr. with us this morning. Christopher, welcome back. Welcome back once again. I want to shift our conversation just a wee bit. We spoke a lot about the agriculture, the innovation, about your mushroom farming and so forth. I still want to keep on the conversation of entrepreneurship just a wee bit, but I want to mesh it with how the youth, empowerment comes into play into this also. All right, entrepreneurship, youth empowerment, just a wee bit. You said as a young entrepreneur yourself, what do you think is holding back more young Grenadians from starting their own venture, and what would you do to definitely change that? If that opportunity presented to you to do that for young people in particular in Grenada?
You know what? Fundamentally, I think if anything, I would love to create a system that encourages failure. And that may sound weird to some people.
Encourages failure.
And
I understand where you're coming from, because it does encourage you to come back better to a point. And I think I get the notion where you're going with this.
I think in our society, because we're so small and condensed, right? When someone puts their all into a business and it sometimes doesn't go well, right? We sometimes chastise like, oh, you failed. Yeah. But that's really not what an entrepreneur... The environment is that, you fail, get back up and try again. And financing, if someone failed in one business, it's hard to finance the next business after that. They view it as you improve us once, so you ain't getting through again. And that is a terrible way to stifle innovation. And I think we need to start looking at our system and how we encourage people to try, to fail, and encourage them to succeed. Our system is inherited from a colonial architecture. And we have tried to modernize that in some way over time. But really, it has not truly started to really foster our own people and to encourage our own people to not just succeed, but to try to succeed. And in that, I would say, it starts with how we view business in general. Any small business, it's bound to fail eventually. Sometimes some entrepreneurs go to 2 or 3 failed businesses before they hit their one success. Now, you think that's terrible math, but that one success may yield $100 or $200 million business. It all depends on what that person has carried over from the learning from the past failures, learning from how to recruit better people, learning how to be better at managing his finances, learning how to manage his employees and his emotions in dealing with his employees. All these things are, I would say, the journey of every entrepreneur. And to foster entrepreneurship, we need to start thinking about how do we create a system that allows our youth to not start from starting earlier, starting way younger, to start businesses and to fail. Like in the States, capitalism, a bastion of capitalism. We see that people start earning money from 15, 16. They had a part-time job, paying a little, and they learn that level of responsibility, starting their own paper route, being able to save and build and expand. These are the things we need to start teaching our kids at a very much younger age now. I think business is in everything right now, and where technology is vastly changing what we consider white-collar jobs or the jobs of the past, such as lawyers, doctors, all the professionalism jobs that we thought were safe life, people used to think, oh, I'm going to send my kid and learn coding and computer technology. Joke's on you, because AI is now coding that for itself, and machine learning. So most of these jobs are going to not be present in 10 years from now.
Yeah. Oh, well, you still can't leave out the human aspect of it.
Of course, we
can't.
can't. And that is what I'm trying to say. We need to encourage more of the human aspect in our business culture.
Yeah.
We need to start to see ourselves as the level point of creativity and adjusting to change. Humans can solve most of our problems because we also have to allow us to be creative enough to solve those problems. And that is all I'm saying. We need to bring that human basis back into our system.
Some might get the interpretation or the feeling that we have to give in to technology.
Yeah.
We can't.
We can't give in
We
completely.
can't give in to technology.
No.
And, some parts we say, oh, well, AI is going to take over and so forth. But when you start thinking that particular way, you're giving into it.
Yeah.
Which now gives you the thought pattern that this can do it better than me. But it doesn't happen that. The human aspect is always needed. Or the element of human touch is always needed. I want to ask you also this. If you get that chance to, to design a national program, hope I'm not pushing you too far.
No.
that, that will support youth-led, agribusiness as your mushroom farming and so what that you do, or to just get it started up. What would that look like? What would that look like for you?
Well,
if the opportunity arises for you.
First, I would start to lead into all the growth sectors for the next 10 to 15. The next 2 decades, first of all. And then we need to start to think about all the climate smart and new technology ways to better those industries in our country. Then we have to focus on how we deploy that to the people who are capable in our country. So then we have to create a kind of framework where we not just recruit, mentor, and deploy. Like in some countries, like the model they call incubators. We need to start creating our own incubators for pulling people who you probably drop out of school at 12, 13. Doesn't mean you lost your drive, As I see a lot of young men who probably dropped out of school because the school system to them is not built for the new youths of today.
The academical part of it.
Yeah,
I understand.
But in terms of getting getting them into that system where you can help train them, grow them, we need to start learning to pull people from not just, if you have certain degrees or qualifications, but talent, and start to train them, incubate them, and then deploy them in certain sectors in our economy that they would thrive in. So then, obviously, now we have to talk about the financing on how to create that model for them. I think that model should not be built on just commercial banking system. We need to start talking about venture capital or investment capital, private equity in our system. We need to have not just credit union and a commercial bank. You need to have professionals who lead private equity businesses, who invest in 10 to 15 small businesses or companies, and they bring in the accountants, the small business and entrepreneurship person, and counsel, train, and elevate certain people in the businesses, and help bring them to markets they didn't know that existed for them. These are how we need to start to think about growing our capacity in our country. So it is multifaceted. I think it's not just a simple one solve. We need to start to think about deeper rooted systems, and we need to start thinking about how we shift our culture. Our culture is, when you look at all companies and anything, when they do a major revamp, the first thing that's thought about is a culture shock. How we change the culture of our organization to therefore reflect the true values of purpose that we are building forward. Because if we're not building systems of purpose, we are not going to yield the right results. And that's why I think we need to start having the conversations of how we build systems of purpose to fulfill our people's desires, but also the economic gains that will be present in our future economy.
Tell me, what do you believe our education system is doing, or do you believe it's preparing, you for entrepreneurship, and also the innovative part of it? If you say no to this, what gap is needed to really address this in terms of from the educational system?
Well, I think there's a massive gap. I came from this educational system. And I think our educational system promotes workers than owners. So I would like to say that, first of all, we create a system where you study a bunch of subjects, you try to get into a good placement in school.
Just to go get a job, right?
Just to go get a job. We don't teach people how to take, all companies are just solving a problem. There are so many problems in our society today. You cannot kind of tell me we cannot have a massive small business culture in this country, because there's so much things to solve. So
we can't have all sellers, though. Right?
No, we can't have all sellers.
All sellers.
But we could also create an environment where there's thriving, because there's a lot of people who are ready to purchase, but there's not many artisans.
Sure.
And it's not just, artisans is like different. I was telling someone, person who is good at woodwork and he can build a bed and he can do some framing and stuff, right? He think, yeah, I'm good at woodwork, but that's the limit. But he can be an artisan. He can create types of like wooden pottery and different types of utensils that provide a much greater value in the tourism aspect.
Yeah, not just what somebody asked for.
Not just what somebody asked for. It's creating that creative culture where we can take the skillful people that we have and kind of broaden their abilities to make sure that they can have a lot more economic purpose. And that is all I'm saying.
Okay, I just really follow what you're saying, because sometimes, as you say, that person that carpenter or whoever it is, or that joiner, whatever you call them, you only find out about their talent when you ask them to do something for you. Hey, build me a bed, and they design a lovely bed. Build me a chair, and they design a lovely chair. But what if they take up their own initiative and do these things by themselves? Not wait until someone asks them. You have 20 different pieces, which mean none of them is unique to another. You understand? And then now the community will come into you. Hey, I'm seeing this. I'm only one going to have it. You understand? Not because, GTC designed me this particular thing, and you have the ability to do it. It's all well and good, but showing that your ability could be extended more than someone just asking you to do it.
Man, there's so much different things we can do in this country, right? We have like fruit trees and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Why is that not someone who is good at woodwork, crafting own mini barrels? Like we buy, Clarks would spend thousands of dollars bringing oak barrels from different parts of the world. We have our own rum industry. Why don't we have our own fruit trees, crafted barrels that are for our own rums, that accentuate our flavors in our rums? You know what I mean? Why are we not creating that other industry around our industry? And that is the different economic opportunities we have for our country.
You being a good agent yourself, why do you think these things are so limited to us? Or especially the talents of people being able wanting to do these things? Is it because of the political climate at the time? Is it because of how the economic situation and so on? Why are we not expanding more in things that we could do locally by ourselves?
I think when I first started in business, I was telling someone about my idea. He said, don't tell nobody that, Keep your idea real safe. Man, don't take your thing. I think our culture of hoarding good ideas is nonsense.
Yeah.
You can tell someone...
There's some folks you can't tell that.
Yeah, but the reality is that when China started their ascension to economic superpower levels, they knew that a lot of their countrymen didn't have the skill sets to do the type of growth needed.
Yeah.
What they did was create a systematic approach, and also highlighting that to their populace, to their people, to tell them this is the plan. We are going into high-tech jobs. We need more people in construction, engineers, because we're in growth mode. We don't need to be the biggest in construction. We need to be the best in technology. These are the universities. These are the scholarships. These are where all our programs are focusing our youth to go. This is what the direction. Like America here, do we want to be better? This is how we're going to be there. We need to start to think about how do we create that kind of national encompassing model where we focus our enhance. We always love to say we have so much talented youth and we have so much, great artists and all these things. I agree. I have a lot of pride as a Grenadian, the amount of potential we have in our country.
But we don't make a use of it.
We don't.
We don't make use of it.
If anything, we discourage and we kind of wait for someone to fail rather than allow them to say, bro, man, that small thing, get up, bro, keep going. That is the type of culture we need to start promoting. And that can only happen if more people buy in. Because if more people started a business and fail, bro, you'll feel so much empathy for that person who had their first failure. Because now you can say, bro, I've been there. And that is what I think we, at a societal level, we need to encourage this thing from deep down, from our children. We should have like entrepreneurship workshops from the youngest primary school. Tell little kids what little business you want to start to try. Let our kids start hearing about what kind of things they want to solve now. Tell them the problems of the world. Tell them the potential. I'll excite them. Don't tell them they're limited to just the Grenadian context. Create your own context, because the world is not limited by geography. You can learn anything from the internet. You can go to any resource possible via technology right now.
Okay.
So make it easier.
We drew for a break. Let's take. We'll be back. Stay with us, folks. To the point here on Classic Radio GBN TV. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Looking to shop online from your favorite stores like Amazon and Shein with GPC Global.
The Mass officially starts now as Spice Mass Cooperation together with Aura Caribbean is turning up the thing all the way up with Carnival City Fusion Thursdays. It all kicks off on Thursday, May 29th and continues every Thursday into June. We're bringing the vibes to the Port Louis lawn. Gates open 7 p.m. Action starts 8 p.m. Get ready for live performances from your favorite soca, groovy and calypso artists, plus the sweet sounds of steel band, live bands, and all the mass elements you love. Veko, Jab Jab, Short Knee, Moko Jumbi, Apache, and more. It's more than a line. It's a whole carnival experience. So grab your crew, bring the energy, and come let's celebrate where culture meets pure excitement. Carnival City Fusion Thursdays, Port Louis Lawn, beginning May 29th and continues every Thursday into June. Come, let's play a mass, cause the thing starts.
Get ready, Grenada. The excitement is building for one of the biggest athletic events of the year. It's the Whitsuntide Games 2025, happening on June 7th and 8th at the iconic Kirani James Athletic Stadium. Come witness the speed and strength from Grenada, Barbados, St. Vincent, Antigua, Guyana, and Trinidad and Tobago as they compete in thrilling track and field events from 9 a.m. sharp. From powerful shot puts to blazing sprints, this is athletic excellence you don't want to miss. Purchase your tickets now from GoToFed.com. Main stand $20, main stand finish line $30, or have the VIP experience at $150 for 1 day or $200 for the 2 days. Mark your calendars, June 7th and 8th, and be there to cheer on greatness. The Whitsuntide Games 2025, where champions emerge.
Hello everyone, I would like to welcome you to come join us next Saturday at King of the Grill. You can sample our wonderful Divine products and many other products that we offer at Budget Food. Again, next Saturday, King of the Grill. See you there.
GBN presents the 2025 Maggie King of the Grill, Saturday, June 7th, Man Rouge Plain Field from 11 a.m. Our partners, Maggie, the secret of great flavor, Grenada Distillers Limited, makers of Clark's Court, Grenada's #1 rum, Grenada Paper Products, makers of Cherish, Spring Soft, Harbour Bay, and Super Value Toilet Paper, and Royal, Quick and Easy, and Horizon Paper Towels, Budget Foods Inc., Classic Lighting, and Blue Bubbles PA Rental and Event Supplies. It's the 2025 Maggie King of the Grill, where flavor rules.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back. Of course, Mr. Deallie with us this morning. You're representing the New National Party. Time is suddenly sweeping up on us, folks. We're moving up to 20 minutes before the top of the hour. I want to talk to you a wee bit about, of course, the constituency that you know, the constituency that you know, the caretaker of South St. George, and the urban potential of that particular constituency. You know, South St. George is Grenada's economic hub, as some folks would say. With the airport, the hotel, and the growing middle class within that particular continue. But what more can be done to unlock the full potential of that constituency as you see it in the broader picture?
Man, that's a long conversation.
Yeah. Give me the shortened version of it.
I think we need to look at the St. George's South as the economic capital, and stop just viewing it as just a constituency that houses a lot of hotels. Yeah. Because what we need to start to see is development around that. Like everything should be linked in that constituency. From most of the people who live around the area, normally has a job related to some sort of tourism-related situation or service-related industry around the hotels. It could be in a call center. It could be in various levels of manufacturing and other services in the area. Plus, you have hotels and other businesses. We need to start viewing it as a constituency that should showcase the best of Grenada.
Yeah.
We have the airport.
When you say that, the best of Grenada.
We come off the airport, and for at least the first 2 miles, all you can see is grass and dry bush, or a couple trees in the area. That is not supposed to be how you're supposed to enter the country, in my view.
Yeah.
You're supposed to come, and as some people say, when you come into the island, you smell spice. I would like when you come in from the that same way that they love to like cut trees and like highlight. I would love to see all the different types of fruit trees, cocoa trees, even mango trees along that route coming out from the airport. I would like to see a lot more. Yes, we are cleaning up, but we need to have a lot more sidewalks for people to have safe mitigation around there's a lot of traffic in Grand Anse. Everybody knows that. But you have thousands of SU students who jog and around the area. People who live in Lansepine and True Blue, and people who stay in hotels, come out of the hotel and go jogging around the area. These are something we need to have well-lit paths and sidewalks all throughout the constituency. We need to actually urban plan our constituency. I don't think we have urban planned our country past the English when we were colonized. We have not looked at our country as true owners and for areas where we're making sure that what we build today can last for generations, but also make sure that it can withstand the test of time in terms of engineering and stuff. We cannot have in our tourism belt so much flooding anymore that people cannot traverse from the supermarket back to their hotel room because drain water is in the way when we have a couple hours of rain. That should not be happening. It's supposed to create a system where either through pumps, better drainage systems, all these things supposed to be more focused towards deriving a better tourism product for people to see. For the people who have housing needs in our community, we need to start looking at it holistically and start to realize that that constituency has grown faster than any other constituency or part of the country in Grenada. About 10 years ago, the voting populace in the south was about 8,000 or 9,000. Now it is over 12,000. People are constantly moving to the south, all from different parts of the island, for economic purposes. Yeah. We need to start creating a start of development in the south that can withstand that growth, can make sure that we have areas where can be built out for housing stock, for areas that where there are already houses already, how to make those situations a lot better in drainage, paths to get to their house, well-lit solar paths. We need to it's just simple little things that helps elevate the feeling in people to make them feel like they're being seen. And a large part of the South does not feel like they are seen. We have the South St. George is like a cross-section of all the mix of Grenada. Yeah. You have people from all around the country, in the countryside, from people who lived in the South, people who grew up there, but their parents are from the country. There's so much different mix and melting pot. People who moved to the country, expats, it is a mix. And what we need to start to create is that hub where people cannot feel just safe, but feel like encouraged to go out and go to a bar. They should have constant transportation where people check on if there's someone who needs a little help or drunk. They need to be able to get home safely. There should be 24 mobility around the south for tourism and for our own people. We need to start thinking about ways for youths to feel more encouraged and deployed in the south. There's a lot of jobs that can be created in the south in service and other things that we need to encourage them to start taking up those opportunities. So there's a lot of things I would say the south in terms of development, but I think we need to start looking at that as the only natural resource I see right now in our country is our white sand beaches. Yeah. And that is what
and we need to move beyond that. There are a lot of countries with white sand beach.
I agree. But we also need to take care of the one thing we have really well too. And making sure that that is accentuated in our tourism products. The food we eat in the South. They're making sure that all restaurants and they are representative of the country we're trying to put out there. They should have a place in the South that is only seafood. I would love to see that to be my in my dear heart, Woburn. I would want Woburn to become the seafood capital of the South, to make sure that we showcase all the different types of way of cooking: lionfish, sea cat, mussels, every type of thing. I want people to start seeing different ways to eat food. Like I would see some people selling little, I forget the thing now. Try to help me. The little snail you see on the rocks. Wilkes. Right. Wilkes could be our escargot of the country. You know what I mean? It should be a man who's selling Wilkes to hotels to do just like have in France they have escargot. That could be our escargot. We need to start marrying what our tourism product is to the things we have in the constituency, and I would like to see a more greater care of that. I see a lot of vendors who are doing coconut water. Not all of it is in high traffic areas, but we should make sure that even those vendors are trying to find an economic purpose, that they are protected to make sure that they're not just disrupting traffic, but it is facilitated too. I'm not trying to stop their hustle. I want to make sure their hustle is accentuated, so a man can pull in and out without traffic being stopped
obstructed in any way.
Yeah, I think we should create zones where you pass through that street, man, only coconut water man selling there. In Trinidad, the avenue around the savannah, there's coconut trucks. I'm saying we should start to create little bastions of the South, the coconut water state area, the men when you can go, all the little food vendors here. I think there's a lot of potential, and creating these economic zones in the South and that kind of urban planning, thoughtful, well developed urban plan to make sure that all the areas of the South is accentuated and developed to showcase the beauty of our country. That is what I think the South needs.
And I certainly happy to hear you say that, because it's like same old every time, and I certainly do understand, and I certainly hope that plan or that thought pattern that you have could come into fruition sometime in the future. Because it takes a people of wanting to have these things done. Ideas can only stay in your mind for
Agreed.
Stay in your mind. But if you really want to have it done, you have to make that step.
I agree.
And everyone have to make that step. Everyone cannot wait on governments to do everything for them. I mean, you got to present the opportunity, see the opportunity, and go towards this. And if you have to be inclusive of getting governments involved, then you go that particular direction. And it could be a whole different world for us. You mentioned something that I don't follow suit with. I don't like to see us follow suit other countries, because I think Grenada is unique to itself. And sometimes it kind of knocks me off when I hear individuals say, well, we should do like that or do like that. I'm not saying that you cannot watch what something is done somewhere else. And I want you to get my direction.
I get completely.
But I always feel that we should have our own thoughts.
Agreed.
Because every country have their own way about themselves. And doesn't mean because something works in another country it's going to work in Grenada.
I don't think so. I think inspiration isn't unique.
You can grab the inspiration.
That's all I'm saying.
100%.
Yeah.
You could grab an inspiration, but do it in your own unique way.
And
that Grenadian way about it.
And that is what I'm saying. I don't think we should copy. I think we should emulate the pattern in which the world is going and make our own contribution to that pattern.
And that
is what I think we should.
I always feel that's what's always keeping us down, because we always seem to want to gravitate to other things that we see from other countries. I once heard a minister of government said that I saw something taking place in St. Lucia. Maybe we should do that too. You understand? And it took me off a wee bit. Kept saying what's taking place in that country is unique to them.
Yeah, I agree.
You may like it, but you present it to us as Grenadians now, and it's a totally different kettle of order. You understand? It's totally good. I want to ask you this, because we due for time, and I see the phones are going, and I know folks may want to ask you a question or two. Now, you're young, passionate, and politically engaged. Why did you decide to take on the leadership role, of course, with the New National Party, and why no? Why no?
Personally, I think our country is in a very important crossroads. I think we have our country, honestly, in terms of census data, we are a very young country, vibrant, but also I think as a political, we have not seen or heard, we love to say like certain words, but we have not really had a massive political shift in the way we view things.
No.
And I felt personally like I was tired of just like saying I'm chastising men in doing this and they in doing that, and like I was part of the problem. I was that loud voice, dissenting voice saying, you know, the country should do this and should do that. But what was I contributing to my country?
Understand you.
And I'm a patriot. I love my country deeply, and I would not sit idly by and just watch others. I don't say others, but like the world is going in a direction, and we're not, you know, constantly upgrading on pushing our people to derive the best out of it. So I wanted to come into that conversation and offer my contribution in the most personal aspect, and that is like I put in my heart and soul into this. I want to make a tremendous impact, in which is that I want to make sure that we have a Grenada that pushes, unifies, and makes a better country for my children's children. I want to make sure that they have the opportunities that we didn't have.
Yeah.
And for that to happen, we need to start stepping out of, you know, a lot of like, we chastise politicians all the time, but how much of us who have the qualifications, who have the experience, who have the, you know, the know-how, are jumping into the mix to offer their, you know, their hands and their heads and their hearts into something to truly help make the country better. I found a home within the New National Party. Some people would say that bed was made for me by my grandmother, and I am just lying in it now. But I felt more so, it wasn't anybody's, like, someone pushed me into it. It was 100% my decision. Yeah. I even took my family by surprise. I didn't really consult them in terms of ask the old man like, hey, do you think I should join politics? I did it purely on what I felt and what I believed in as a fellow Grenadian. I felt that our country needed more people to stand up and not just offer the same old ideas, but also take part in changing the conversation. So it is a personal journey for me. I'm learning as I'm growing, but what I'm all trying to do is trying to make sure that we can build a country that suits us as young Grenadians, but also helps foster a better environment for all Grenadians in the diaspora and the greater world.
Looking at the current, of course, leadership within the south constituency, if I could say it in that way, a simple way, and of course, going into that particular election, wanting to get to the know of the people, to know the Christopher Deallie and who you are and what you stand for, and what you could, of course, make a difference for them, being a member of the National Party. How has it been for you thus far? I have noticed via social media and so forth, you've been making headroads within the constituency and so forth. How is the acceptance level for you? How the people are seeing? Are they understanding what you want to offer, what difference you want to make in what they presently do have?
Well, nobody throwing water on my by their house, if that's what you're asking. But no, honestly, everywhere I've gone in the constituency, even some people maybe I'll standoffish because of the political party they support, but in general, most people are open to listening. Yeah. Most of the questions I hear in the community is like, yeah, I know what he's doing, but like, what is your plans? Yeah. Tell me, what do you think about the community? Tell me, what do you think about what you can do, and what is your intentions? Okay. So I think it is a lot more open than most people think it is. I think to underestimate the people of the South is a great folly. I think they are very intellectual people in terms of the type of representative they want to represent them. I think right now on the ground, there's a lot of time for people to start to get to know me. I plan to go out in every little community, personally, not with any team or anything, just walking in Calavini, go right up to Woburn, to Springs, and I'm going bit by bit, door to door, street by street, and having those conversations. Sometimes those is a little longer than I expect, because those conversations yield 2 to 3 hours sometimes, but I'm happy because I get to meet all different people in the community. It's so different. I live in a community and I drive around, and now it seems so much more connected to me now because I know that person in that house when I'm passing. Yeah. I know her 3 children. When I go down by the corner and I slow down by the coconut water man, I know his name. I know his situation. I know what he's trying to do. I know it's starting to see the stories behind every smile and every face, understanding the burdens, understanding what it takes for them to get up in the morning and keep going. Now, that gives me a deep sense of pride and connection in the community, and I only want to do the best that I can for my people and for my community. So I don't feel discouraged by what I every day. It fills me. I have 2 old ladies who call me clockwork, 8 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the evening, just to check on me and see how I'm doing.
Just by getting to know them in the constituency.
Just by going and visit them in their house and talk to them. They call to check up on me. Those wellness checks, sometimes it catches me in moments when I needed it the most. And that is what I think the greater thing about politics that people forget is all about people, a connection to people and making sure that you can deliver the best to people.
All right. Nice to hear that. And this time, we're going to encourage a couple of calls. I know there are individuals there, of course, will be hearing our conversation this morning and suddenly liking what they're hearing, and there may be a question. Let's take our first caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Doc.
Good morning to you, sir.
How are you doing today? I know you're a mind reader, and so you know exactly that I would like that kind of conversation. Yeah? Good morning to your guests. I really, really like what I'm hearing, because I think our people, we have the abilities, but we do not have the people to push us. We stuck in theory, whereas we use the theory to get into practice so we'll be able to do things for ourselves. Yes? The South is already developed. The South, to me, which is the capital and the business hub, should be able to take care of itself. So more effort should be paid to the parishes that brings in the revenue, which is the outer parishes. So we have to talk about urbanization, that feeds the economic sector of St. George's. So yes, there is sufficient business people there to take care of the South, so the effort there should be minimal, but we concentrate on the outer parishes, But permit me to say that, GT, please, shortly. I want to thank I want to thank the Ministry of Health and the Government in general for answering the call of the eye machine. That's laser machine that had been called for over 3 years. So thank you very much for providing the eye machine for the ward, and I'm asking them, please, they will have to what you call a system that will be able to transmit information from the inside out to the people that is attending the clinic. So we need an intercom machine. Next step, an intercom machine to serve that department. Thank you very much, sir, and have a good day.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much for your call. Anything about the caller said that you want to mention maybe in the first segment?
No, man.
Was it? He said it. All right. We have another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning. Via WhatsApp.
Good morning, GT.
Good morning to you, sir.
Mr. Christopher.
Good morning.
Mr. Christopher, I know you're into agriculture because I think you mentioned about you have like a mushroom farm or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but lately we heard about Hospital Polaris, and then your leader of your party keep condemning the new teaching hospital have become. My question to you, do you think that having that type of hospital, right, will also be a boost in the economy concerning agriculture, and you who also producing mushrooms will be will benefit you because most people moving in from eating of the meat and all this thing, being vegan and all this thing. So would you think that will be great for agriculture? Okay, my second question to you. Last night, we had Andy. I'm the Honorable Andy Williams, and you'll be running against him basically because he's a caretaker. And a question was asked to Andy that if a snap election will call, if you think he could win it? And with conviction, he said yes, he could win it. So I want to ask you the same question. If a snap election call, do you think that you could win it? I want that answer to be a yes or no. And my last question to you now. Okay, I want to know what plans that you guys have for agriculture, because during the revolution we say agro-industry and all these things. So I want to know from you, what are the plans that you have? And if you think agriculture take a dive during Ivan time and we never regain agriculture the way we're supposed to have it until this present administration taking a step to make it forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Glen. Thank you so much. Hope you able to respond to the call.
I don't think Project Polaris has a direct link to agriculture, to be honest. I mean, if you eat well and you have a very good, strong agro system where people are eating healthy and well, I don't think they'll be in a hospital very often. So I don't think that is like what a connection there. And I'm not aware of what any comments my political leader has made to anything, so I can't comment on that. In terms of our plans for agriculture, I think that we have a greater number of plans right now on the drawing board, and that we are coming with a disruptive plan. And if you know anything about the National Party, is that we don't like to just make idle promises. What we say we're going to do. And what we want to make sure is that the plans that we put forward would make sure to have the greatest and most powerful impact. So yes, all the things you've heard me expose is a lot of new things that will be part and faceted of the plan. But I think that what we would be waiting to see a greater detail in that when it's released. So and to the last part of that question, what I see about my opponent, I would say obviously a yes. I mean, I always tell people, if you see me fighting a bear, pray for the bear. I am not afraid of anything, and I implore him to help elevate this discussion, and let's see what we can do to better the constituency. But I'm not afraid of any snap election and my outcome.
Okay, great. We do have another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Gentlemen, I love to hear you talk, but at the same time, what I'm picking up is that you had your party been in power for a lot of years, and it seems as you sound like you have a lot of ideas. So, seeing as you have all these ideas, I think you should ask your leader of your party to apologize to us, because you know why? It means, therefore, that they did not have the vision to empower youth like you within the party structure and frame so that they can follow suit, and with some of the plans that you're talking about that your party could have orchestrated and put into action, so right now Grenada would have been a much better place. No, since this administration came into power, we've heard a lot of innuendos and people trying to score political points. But the fact remains that we've seen for the last 3 years, the person with the vision for Grenada is definitely Deacon Mitchell. You have people who've been in power for 21 years and so on and so forth. And some of the plans that you're talking about are the plans that our PM been talking about on the campaign trail since in 2022-23. So what I'm hearing basically is a regurgitation of PM's Mitchell vision for Grenada. And if we look clearly, we can clearly see that some of what you're talking about, they're starting to put it in place. So I'm wondering if you are regurgitating what the PM basically said. So it tells me that PM Deacon Mitchell do have a vision for this country. So it means, therefore, that NDC is on the right track. I love your demeanor. I love your intelligence, but it just tells me that you're basically echoing the sentiments that NDC basically been saying for the last 3 years and before. Have yourself a pleasant day.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Respond to the caller, Benny.
First of all, I can't state for anything in the past. I'm not holding water for the past. What I would say is that we do have a new political leader, but the Honorable Emmeline Pierre, and the fact that I am here right now sitting in this position says that there's a new sheriff in town and there's a whole new way of operating things right now. The fact that I'm now in a position to lead one of the most economic capitals of the country to be in a caretaker position and have been on the executive of the New National Party has obviously showcased that we are now empowering and pushing a lot of young voices. I didn't just start politics years ago. I mean, like, most of the advancement happened recently, and that is because we have a new political leader. So what I would tell the caller is it is time to get excited that this is now, an MP is normally the party that does and not talks a lot, but do. And this government is in place right now for 3 years, and there should be a lot more doing right now. So I would say that coming from a party who is all about action and that we have a new political leader, I think it is time for people to start getting excited because our plans will be things that are ready to go from, and we're ready to go as a party right now.
Okay, great. Well, let's take our final caller for the morning and then we get some closing contribution. Caller, you're live. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Jay, and good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
My thing is that your opponent said during the campaign, that last campaign, that he could have made jail for being dishonest. I want to know what is your take on honesty and what is your take on being on corruption in government. Have a nice day, sir.
Thank you, Cole. Thank you so much. Respond to the caller.
I mean, I think that's obvious. I don't want to disparage or anything to anybody. I just think that we should have the highest level of making sure that character is important, but also we need to ensure that, good governance is part of being transparent and honest to the people, because at the end of the day, it is the people's money and it is their tax dollars, and people should be ensuring that these monies are spent in the most wisely form. So I don't believe in any type of governance that encourages corruption or that type of governance. I want to make sure that anything that I'm a part of is as transparent as possible, and making sure that we make sure that people's trust in whatever we do is one of the highest.
Okay. Christopher, I want to thank you once again for being on the program this morning. Always fruitful conversation. Always certainly hope we could have you coming back as regular as you can on the program. Anything in closing before we take a wrap this morning?
I just would like to tell you and your viewers, thank you for having me this morning. It was a pleasure having this conversation, and that I would tell the people of the South St. George's I look forward to meeting every one of you, that the ones who are listening right now. I would be coming across from Calavini this week, and I'm going to go try to hit some parts of Woburn. I'm wanting to listen and talk to as many people in the South as possible and tell them, that better times are ahead and we need to start moving now. So I'm glad that I had this time with you this morning, and I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to listen to me.
All right, thank you. So once again, until we do this again, have a good day, sir.
Same to you.
All right. Hey, folks, that's what we're going to take a wrap for this edition of To The Point. Join me again later on for another edition. That's what we say goodbye.